The night was dark. December 29th, 1972. Eastern Airlines Flight 401, a Lockheed L-1011 Tristar, soared through the night sky. It carried 163 souls aboard, destined for Miami. The passengers, weary from their travels, settled in for the final leg of their journey. Unaware of the horror that awaited them, they drifted off to sleep. A sense of normalcy pervaded the cabin, the gentle hum of the engines a lullaby in the darkness. Little did they know, fate had other plans. As Flight 401 approached Miami International Airport, disaster struck. The night was calm, and the city lights below twinkled like stars. The passengers, unaware of the impending doom, were either dozing off or engrossed in their own thoughts, anticipating their arrival. The crew, seasoned and confident, had no inkling of the catastrophe that was about to unfold. A seemingly insignificant technical malfunction sent the aircraft into a downward spiral. The landing gear indicator, a small but crucial component, failed to show whether the landing gear was properly deployed. This minor glitch set off a chain reaction of events that would lead to tragedy. The pilots, preoccupied with a faulty landing gear indicator, failed to notice the rapid descent. Their attention was diverted to troubleshooting the issue, leaving the aircraft on autopilot. The altitude was dropping steadily, but the crew's focus was entirely on the malfunctioning indicator light. Confusion filled the cockpit as alarms blared, their warnings drowned out by the escalating chaos. The pilots, overwhelmed by the cacophony of alerts and the pressure of the situation, struggled to regain control. The once orderly environment of the cockpit had turned into a scene of frantic activity and rising panic. The plane, once a symbol of human ingenuity, was now a hurtling projectile. It descended rapidly, slicing through the night sky with terrifying speed. The passengers, now aware of the dire situation, clung to their seats in fear, their hopes of a safe landing dashed. It slammed into the desolate Florida Everglades, the impact sending shockwaves through the night. The once serene swamp was now a scene of devastation, the aircraft breaking apart upon impact. The force of the crash was so immense that it was felt miles away, a grim reminder of the fragility of human life. The crash was catastrophic, claiming the lives of 101 passengers and crew. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, their efforts hampered by the difficult terrain and the darkness of the night. The wreckage was strewn across the swamp, a haunting sight that would remain etched in the memories of those who witnessed it. The crash site, a scene of unimaginable devastation, became a grim testament to the fragility of life. The eerie silence of the swamp was now punctuated by the sounds of rescue operations and the sobs of those who had lost loved ones. It was a stark reminder of how quickly life can change, and how even the smallest technical glitch can lead to unimaginable tragedy. In the aftermath of the tragedy, a chilling chapter began to unfold. Salvaged parts from the wreckage of Flight 401 were salvaged, deemed reusable by Eastern Airlines. These parts, bearing the silent scars of the disaster, found their way onto other aircraft in the airline's fleet. Little did anyone suspect that these salvaged components would become conduits for something sinister. The ghosts of Flight 401, it seemed, had followed. One of the most frequent occurrences involved sightings of Flight 401's captain Bob Loft and flight engineer Don Repo. These sightings were not just fleeting glimpses, but often detailed and vivid encounters that left witnesses deeply unsettled. The apparitions were described as so lifelike that some crew members initially mistook them for living colleagues. Their spectral forms were said to appear in the cockpits of the very aircraft that carried their salvaged parts. These parts, recovered from the wreckage of Flight 401, were installed in other planes, unknowingly bringing along the spirits of Loft and Repo. The eerie presence of these ghostly figures often coincided with moments of technical difficulty or mechanical failure, almost as if they were there to offer a spectral form of guidance. Pilots and flight engineers reported seeing the apparitions of Loft and Repo, their faces etched with concern, as if still grappling with the events of that fateful night. These sightings were not limited to just one or two individuals. Multiple crew members across different flights recounted similar experiences. The consistency of these reports added a layer of credibility to the otherwise unbelievable tales. Some even claimed that the apparitions would attempt to communicate, their expressions and gestures conveying urgent messages. In some instances, they even claimed to have heard whispers of warnings urging them to check the landing gear or watch your altitude. These whispers, often heard during critical phases of flight, were described as faint but unmistakable, sending chills down the spines of those who heard them. The warnings, though eerie, were sometimes credited with averting potential disasters, leading some to believe that Loft and Repo were still watching over their fellow aviators, even in death. Section 5. The Spectre of Seat 16B. Among the passengers there was one lost soul whose presence was felt with particular intensity. A senior flight attendant named Linda McWilliams was said to haunt Seat 16B, her spectral image appearing to passengers and crew alike. Some reported seeing her going about her duties, her face a mask of serenity. Others described her as appearing deeply troubled, her eyes reflecting the terror of that fateful night. Section 6. Apparitions of the Doomed. But the ghostly encounters were not confined to these three figures. Passengers on flights that carried salvaged parts from Flight 401 reported a multitude of eerie experiences. Shadowy figures moved through the aisles, their footsteps soundless. Whispers and moans seemed to emanate from the very walls of the aircraft. Some passengers even claimed to have seen the ghostly visages of other Flight 401 victims, their faces pale and drawn, their eyes filled with a haunting sadness. Section 7. The haunting continues. As the reports of these uncanny events accumulated, fear and unease spread throughout Eastern Airlines. Pilots and flight attendants were hesitant to fly on aircraft that carried parts from Flight 401. Some refused outright, their fear outweighing their professional obligations. The airline, initially dismissive of the reports, was forced to acknowledge the growing sense of panic. They attempted to quell the rumors, attributing the sightings to stress, exhaustion, or simply overactive imaginations. But the stories persisted. Section 8. Rational explanations and theories. Skeptics have offered various explanations for the reported hauntings. These explanations range from the mundane to the more scientifically intriguing. One of the most common theories is that the sightings and experiences were simply cases of mistaken identity. Given the widespread media coverage of the crash, it's not surprising that people might see what they expect to see. The power of suggestion can be incredibly strong, especially in the wake of a tragedy that captures the public's imagination. Some argue that the sightings were simply cases of mistaken identity, fueled by the widespread media coverage of the crash. The media's portrayal of the event was so pervasive that it could easily influence people's perceptions and memories. In the chaos and confusion following such a disaster, it's easy for the mind to play tricks, leading to false sightings and misinterpretations of ordinary events. Others suggest that the extreme stress and trauma experienced by the survivors, as well as the families of the victims, may have manifested in psychological phenomena like hallucinations or shared delusions. The human mind is incredibly complex and can react to trauma in unpredictable ways. In the face of overwhelming grief and stress, it's not uncommon for people to experience vivid hallucinations or even develop shared delusions with those around them. These psychological responses can be a way for the mind to cope with the unbearable reality of loss. Still others point to the possibility of electromagnetic interference affecting the brains of those on board the aircraft, leading to altered perceptions and sensory distortions. Electromagnetic fields are known to have various effects on the human brain, and in the confined space of an aircraft, these effects could be amplified. This theory suggests that the unusual experiences reported by passengers and crew could be the result of electromagnetic anomalies, causing them to perceive things that weren't really there. Whether it's mistaken identity, psychological stress, or electromagnetic interference, these rational explanations offer a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of human perception and the mysteries of the mind. Section 9. An enduring mystery. Whatever the explanation, the legend of the ghosts of Flight 401 has endured. It serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of tragedy. Whether or not one believes in the supernatural, the stories of Flight 401's spectral passengers and crew continue to captivate and unsettle, ensuring that the memory of that fateful night lives on, not just in the annals of aviation history, but in the realm of the unexplained.